more, then we're going to cross now to our correspondent, Seema Gupta, who has been speaking to Sister Roxane Schares from the International Union of Superiors General. Seema, over to you then.
Yes, I've just been checking in with Sister Roxane here to find out more about what really is the view on that very powerful homily that was delivered by Cardinal Giovanni Battista Re, talking about all those key topics that were very dear to the heart of Pope Francis. And one of those issues in particular about migrants and refugees. Sister Roxane, you're a nun, but also an American yourself, and you've worked with migrants and refugees around the world. I mean, what did you make about that message? And a message that was also heard by the American President, Donald Trump, and the Italian Prime Minister, Giorgia Meloni, two individuals who've really tried to stop the flow of migrants into their country and even turning to third countries to house them.
Well, when I think of Pope Francis' witness with his life and what was even shared today in the homily, really his life was about being present to those on the margins, really living the gospel with joy and mercy, but also present to each person, recognizing their God-given dignity. And when one looks at what's happening toward migrants and refugees, in my country, but in many countries, it is very disheartening because their dignity is being denied.
Bearing that in mind, then, how do you feel about the fact that now the Pope has passed? Yes, we've heard his message coming out loud and clear here today on the day of his funeral, but are you concerned about what's going to happen in the future? Who is going to champion these marginalized people?
Well, yes, I am concerned, but I also know many people of goodwill and many Catholic sisters around the world are committed to responding to those people that are marginalized. And our union of women religious, we have two commitments toward migrants and refugees. One is presence at Lampedusa to welcome the rivals. And another one is a network connecting sisters worldwide who are working with migrants and refugees, trying to help them find the support they need, but also be advocates for the people who are marginalized.
And do you hope that the next Pope, whoever it might be, will continue that message? I assume you do.
Absolutely. That's my hope. That's my desire. It's my prayer. And I think many of us are praying for that because Pope Francis taught us that we need to be people of solidarity. And that means being attentive to all people, present to all.
When one considers the role that Pope Francis also made, not just to migrants and refugees, but what about the women in the church? I mean, he did appoint women to very key roles at the Vatican, whether it was the director of the Vatican Museum or people that were taking into account committees that were looking at peace and justice, or even the undersecretary at the Synod, which is important to discuss the future of the church and other issues. So he put women in a lot of key positions, but many say he didn't do enough. What do you think?
Well, I think he did a great deal, and yes, there's more to be done. And I think we recognize that, but I think we can build on what he has done, and that he carried out a synodal approach, a synod, that if we really take that seriously, we will need to listen and walk together, men and women together. And that's my hope. And this Jubilee year of hope, we are pilgrims of hope.
But he didn't quite deliver on that message that many were hoping for, which was that there would be women deacons. In the end, the Synod did not make that decision. There was a push for it. Deacons, of course, they cannot carry out Mass, but they have other key roles in the church. Men currently can be deacons, but women not yet.
Yes, that's correct. But he did agree to a committee that's still studying. Yes, it is disappointing because there have been two commissions. They've never quite completed, or we haven't read the results. But there is another committee working on it. But yes, it's slow. It's frustrating to many. But at the same time, I think we keep asking. We keep discerning together. We keep moving forward in hope. And I think women are doing much more than we realize. And I think if we can bring that to the fore and recognize what men and women are doing together, that will maybe help us move forward.
I think looking back at Pope Francis's pontificate, a lot of people said, well, if you're traditionalists, you may have felt that he perhaps was, being dangerous towards doctrine. In fact, at one point, some even called him a heretic, while on the other hand, you have a situation of the liberals who feel he didn't do enough. In your opinion, did he really bring about any change in the church? Enough change?
Well, he brought about a great deal of change. Enough? I don't think it's ever enough, but it is a part of the journey. And so I think if we have the courage to continue walking in the direction he has put forth, then we will keep moving forward. And I think the idea is to keep God's vision in mind. And that's what Pope Francis tried to help us discern together. What is it that God desires for us and all of creation?
Thanks so much, Sister Roxane. So that's clearly Sister Roxane's feeling and the feeling of a lot of the faithful that were gathered here today at the funeral. But faithful or otherwise, it clearly was quite an incredible spectacle and a moving and solemn goodbye to Pope Francis.
And that indeed, that message did very much come out of those words from Sister Roxane. Thank you very much, Roxane Schares and Seema Gupta.